So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another album review of The Chill Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're reviewing an album by a newer band that is called Calva Louise, and the new album is called The Edge of the Abyss. So, for those of you that don't know the band, this is a three-piece band. They're currently in the UK, but they have members from Venezuela, France, and New Zealand. And I got the promo for this, and the singer, whose name is Jess Alanik, they talk a lot about the musical influence that they have, and they're influenced by bands like System of a Down, Calle 13, which is an urban artist here from Puerto Rico, and also bands like Molotov and some like metalcore bands. So when I heard all those influences, I heard yes, because I listened to the album, and I did not only do that. I listened to all four of their albums. So I started with their newest album, and I thought I was very curious to see how their sound evolved, or if they always sounded the same. So they have three previous albums before this. One is called Rhinoceros back in 2019, and that one's the most different sounding because it sounds more like a punk band, like Emil and the Sniffers, like new wavy at some parts of the sound of that album. And that album was okay, but it was my least favorite. But then they went with Euphoric in 2021 and Over the Threshold in 2023. And in those albums, they sounded more like their new album. You know, they had those elements of like metalcore mixed with Spanish like sounds, and also some EDM electronic dance music to it in the sound. So they've been evolving. But I think listening to all of their albums, and especially their last one, a few times to prepare to talk about it, I think this new one is maybe for now their most cohesive record. And also the production on this record is great, and also they sound like a band that is very comfortable with their sound and with experimentation. So when I saw that System of a Down was an influence, I'm like, yes, that makes a lot of sense. So the basic way to describe the sound of this band is a melting pot of genres. Yes, just imagine that all those genres are inside this pot, even though this pot is actually empty. So it's just a prop, people, so I could make my point. So yes, that's the mixture that Calva Louise bring. And also Calva Louise, Calva in Spanish means bold. Calva is in Spanish, and in English it means bold. Sorry, something switched in my brain. And this album, I like it when they mix Spanish in the lyrics, because I'm sorry, my English-speaking people, but Spanish is a very like sensual language, and also you can truly give a lot of emotions in Spanish. Like, for example, in English, when you say I love you, but in Spanish we have te quiero, te amo. So you see the difference of I love you to te amo. It sounds more sexy, it sounds more full of emotion. And I can vouch for this because I speak Spanish, and I sound spicier en español. I know what I did there. So they mix that, and I like it that everyone's from different places, so they bring like all their influences to create the sound of Calva Louise. So Edge of the Abyss is 11 songs, 40 minutes in length, and almost all the albums are shorter. Like, I think that this is the second longest album that they have. And I'm going to talk about some of my favorite tracks on this record. For example, the starting track, Tunnel Vision. That is a great album opener, and it really has like a chaotic feel. You get that metalcore mixed in with some poppy choruses to boot, and also some electronics here and there. And it really sets the mood of what this album will sound like. Then you have a song that is mostly in Spanish, que se llama Lo que vale. And that means in English, what it's worth. And this one sounds like, it sounds like if you know Spanish music, there's an artist called Rosalia, and she mixes some like hip hop elements, pop and flamenco. And the way that the singer Jess is singing, it sounds like that style. So it has that pop element and sensibility and Latin flavor, but then it brings some very aggressive, like metalcore, almost djente type of sounds to that track. But the Spanish parts where she sings it's very, she brings a lot of emotion, and I'm glad she uses Spanish in her lyrics as well, because it gives the band like a very different feel, and I think that's very Molotov of them, because Molotov was a rock band, or is a rock band from Mexico that mixes a lot of like Spanish, but they have some English songs, and they do like some like hip hop elements, rap elements before, like you could say new metal, but I wouldn't call it new metal. So another song that I really enjoy is one of the singles called Aimless, and this also has a Latin flavor to it, in the guitar tone. And there's a part in the lyrics that it switches from English to Spanish, and she says it in the list. She says, "Te lo digo en español," which means I'm going to tell it to you in Spanish. So that part of the song is like, I'm going to tell it to you in my native language so you truly understand how I feel. So I love that part. I love how she switches from language seamlessly. And you would feel like that maybe that wouldn't feel cohesive, but it actually does in this track. So you have a track called WTF, What the Fuck, which is the second track on the record. And this reminds me of a metal version of Tattoo. You remember Tattoo, like all the things she said, all the things she said? It has something like that on the elements, that really it's got like some dance parts, but then some real hard metal stuff to it, which I think it's great. Other artists are doing that right now, and I like how they do it. Like Poppy, who also did a cover of a Tattoo song, by the way. But yeah, really it reminds me of like that Tattoo band, those two girls from Russia that had like those dance elements to their music. Another song that is pretty good and pretty danceable is the song Impeccable. So that has a very rave sound. So it sounds, and then it gets like, it's very dancey. You're like, oh, I'm in a rave.
Rave?
Yes, but a metal rave. And it gets like really cool. I think this is what Korn wanted to do when they did that album with Skrillex, but Korn, you failed, man. But you know what? Impeccable by Calva Louise, great track. The dance parts to that song are really great because they build momentum, and I like dance stuff. Come on, I grew up in the 90s with The Prodigy, Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers, so I'm no stranger to great electronic music, especially aggressive electronic music, hence The Prodigy. So, great track. I think it's one of the most entertaining ones on this record. But actually, I think my favorite track on the record is La Corriente, which means the current in English. And this one has some electronic vibes to it, and then it has like a new metal feel to it, with some metalcore. She's saying about like she doesn't want to follow the current La Corriente. She wants to be her own person. And again, she uses a lot of Spanish in this track because, like I said, Spanish is more sexy. Yes, I know. It's maybe I'm biased because I speak it. But yeah, that's a great track. And after that, there's a mellow tracks like The Abyss, which is more electronic. And you have Hating Me, which is like a metalcore song with some pop elements. It sounds like more like it could be like more commercial, like it could be played in the radio. And another song that I think it's amazing is El Umbral, which means threshold. That one mixes a lot of like electronic again with some bombastic, aggressive features and I thought a lot of like the Prodigy influences again. So yeah, in conclusion, I think Calva Louise, Edge of the Abyss, is a great record, and I'm glad I got to go back and listen to their other albums. If this was MTV back in the day, this would have been called a buzz-worthy artist, which meant this is an artist that you should not sleep on. And I'm saying it, it's buzz-worthy, it's great, it's unique sounding, it mixes some elements that you think would not mix well together, but they actually fucking do. And I think most of it works because of Jess Alanik, her vocal performance, and she brings some like spicy flavor to this that makes it stand out. And yeah, I'm glad I got this promo and I got to listen to this newer band that should be on your radar, Couchers. So I want to know from you, Couchers, what do you think of Calva Louise, Edge of the Abyss? Do you like it? You hate it? Do you like the mixing? Or are you like, do not mix any more shit in my metal? So if you are a true belt metalhead, this probably is not for you. But if you like experimentation, give Calva Louise a chance. So until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a Couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.